What would you do if someone tried to steal your family's legacy with nothing but a forged signature and a smug smile? Let me tell you about Mason Reed, a Texas rancher who lived that nightmare and came out swinging. Born and raised on a 300-acre spread in the heart of Texas, Mason's ranch wasn't just dirt and grass, it was his blood, his history, carved out by his grandfather's sweat and his father's dawn-to-dusk grit since 1954. Out there, the nearest Walmart was a 20-minute haul, and the only traffic jam came when his cattle decided the dirt road was cozier than the pasture. This land sat far beyond the reach of any homeowners association, free and clear, with every deed, survey, and tax record to prove it. Mason had the paperwork locked tight, or so he thought. 3 years back, a shiny new sub-EVY town called Silver Oaks sprouted just south of his fence line. Picture cookie-cutter houses, manicured lawns, and folks who'd argue over the shade of a mailbox. Mason didn't care. They stayed in their world. He stayed in his. That is, until Lauren Baxter showed up. She was the new Silver Oaks HOA president, a woman with a blonde bob, heels that screamed city, and a glare that said she saw property lines as mere suggestions. Back in Dallas, she'd flipped houses like pancakes. Now, she fancied herself a suburban queen, ready to claim any land not yet under her HOA's thumb. Mason first heard her name at the feed store, where a neighbor chuckled about that lady who thinks she owns the stop signs. He laughed it off. Big mistake. It started with SUVs creeping along his fence, folks in khakis snapping photos of his barn, muttering about unapproved structures. One day, he caught a guy poking at his gate with a measuring wheel. Mason, coffee in one hand, shotgun in the other, yelled from the porch. They bolted like roaches. He figured that'd be the end of it. Nope. One morning, while fixing a pipe by the horse corral, a black SUV with a Silver Oaks HOA decal rolled up. 2 suits stepped out, all fake smiles and crisp polos, and handed him an envelope. "Mr. Reed," the taller one said, "you're now part of Silver Oaks. You've got 72 hours to vacate." Mason laughed, thinking it was a prank. "Son, this ranch ain't HOA property and never will be," he said, wiping grease on his jeans. The suit just smirked. "Take it up with President Baxter." That's when Mason felt a cold dread, not of fear, but of someone gunning for what was his, armed with clipboards and arrogance. He thought it was a mix-up. He called Lauren's office, got a robotic voicemail demanding written inquiries. Fine. He dug out his deed, survey maps, tax records 20 years' worth and marched to the county office. A zoning officer, an old buddy, confirmed the ranch was untouchable, legally immune from annexation without Mason's signature. Armed with facts, Mason sent a warning letter, expecting Lauren to back off. She didn't. The next morning, while checking his cattle, he saw a MOVing truck parked by his house, Silver Oaks stickers glaring. Movers were hauling out his grandfather's armchair, his dad's oak desk, even the longhorn skull above the fireplace, stacking it all like he was some deadbeat renter. "What the hell are you doing?" Mason roared, storming up. A mover dropped a box labeled kitchen and mumbled, "Just following orders. HOA says this place is theirs." A security guard in a tactical vest, HOA compliance, stitched on it, waved a clipboard. "We've got legal docs. You're trespassing. 48 hours to clear out." Mason's blood boiled. He called the sheriff, shoving deeds into the deputy's hands as movers gutted his home. Then Lauren arrived, all pantsuit and polish, with a binder thick as a phone book. She handed the deputy a forged consent form with Mason's signature, a rezoning notice with a shady county seal, and a plat map swallowing his ranch. "Mr. Reed agreed to join Silver Oaks," she purred. "Must have slipped his mind." Mason's voice shook. "That's a lie. I never signed that." The deputy shrugged, torn. "This is a CIVYL dispute. Take it to court. I can't stop them without a judge." Mason watched, helpless, as they changed his locks and carted off his life, piece by piece. It wasn't just theft, it was erasure. The next day, he was back, coffee in hand, filming for Evy Denke. He climbed his own fence to check a water line when two sheriff cruisers rolled up. "Mr. Reed," a deputy said, "you're under arrest for trespassing." Mason's jaw dropped. "This is my land," the deputy read from a tablet. "HOA says you're Evy Ted. You're breaking the law." Handcuffs clicked, and Mason, a man with no record, was hauled past his barn like a thief. Booked and held for 12 hours, he sat in a cell, stunned, until his lawyer, Nathan Cole, bailed him out. Nathan, a grizzled legal shark, met him outside. "Mason, they're running a con." "That signature? It's spliced from an old mortgage doc. Wildly illegal." They drove to the ranch, now lit up with strangers inside. Nathan asked for the original title packet. Mason's heart sank. It was gone, stolen from his lockbox. They hadn't touched cash or guns, just the deeds. Lauren had played dirty, covering her tracks with fake compliance logs. Mason slept in his truck that night, parked at a gas station, staring into the dark. By dawn, he and Nathan were in detective mode, pulling county records, grilling clerks, tracking a notary who swore she'd never met Mason. They found a ghost plat and unapproved map in Lauren's binder, falsely extending Silver Oaks over his land. The HOA kept the pressure on, slapping Mason with a defamation cease and desist after he spoke to a reporter, trying to freeze his property's title, even targeting his truck as abandoned. Nathan blocked each move, but Mason was running on fumes, spite, jerky, and a promise to his dad's memory. Nathan had a plan. "We need to catch her red-handed," he said, tossing a camera in his car. They found an unfiled envelope in county records, a fake map swallowing Mason's ranch. It wasn't enough. So, at midnight, Mason snuck onto his own land, slipping under a fence to his barn, where he'd set up coyote cameras. They aimed them at a workbench and waited. 2 days later, Nathan's phone pinged. Footage showed Lauren and an HOA crony forging documents under a dim bulb, fake logs, votes from ghost residents, and Mason's stolen deed, scanned to fake a zoning waiver. Lauren's voice was clear. "Once this is filed, he's done." Nathan grinned. "We've got her." They sent the VY to the DA, who issued a warrant. Nathan filed an emergency injunction, and within 48 hours, a judge greenlit their return. The courtroom was electric, ranchers in boots, reporters scribbling, Lauren sitting smug in a blazer. Her lawyer spun a tale of Mason as a chaotic loner, but Nathan dismantled it. He showed the title chain, pristine since the 50s, then played the barn footage. Lauren's face filled the screen, forging away. Gasps echoed. A notary swore she never signed Mason's form. A clerk confirmed the plat was fake. Nathan dropped an email pro-VYing Lauren ordered the lock changed before any vote. The DA added bank records. Lauren had funneled HOA funds to her LLC, using Mason's land as a cash cow. The jury took 30 minutes. Guilty on all counts: fraud, theft, unlawful EVY tie-in. Lauren's smug mask cracked as the judge gave her 5 years and ordered due law $1.5 million in damages. The HOA board was dissolved. Mason walked back into his house a month later, dusty but his. He welded a sign at the gate. "Next one who tries for my keys gets a sheriff's escort to jail." He threw a barbecue, grilling brisket, burning a fake HOA complaint box, and laughing as a neighbor danced with a scarecrow. A reporter crashed, asking for a quote. Mason, pork sandwich in hand, said, "Tell Silver Oaks, try this again, bring better lawyers and a prayer." The new HOA head, a retired librarian named Ellen, sent an apology and a pie coupon. Mason framed it beside his deed. That ranch still stands. Mason's still there, and the next clipboard warrior better bring more than paper. They'll need a miracle.